Hello, I am doing something a little bit different today, and so I thought I would jump on while I'm working on this. Hello. I am using one of my favorite reference photos. This is from an anthropology catalog, and I've saved this thing. I've gotten color inspiration from it and all kinds of things on there. Hi there. And so I am painting it now with my own kind of take on it. Hi, Sylvan, Raquel, Montoya, Naviart. So I'm going to try to paint while I'm looking at your comments. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, so I've done the rug. I want to do some pattern in the chairs, and then I also want to do the plant here. And I haven't decided if I'm going to bring these big things in here. I might not. So, all right, I'm going to play with the pattern on here. And I normally do florals, but I believe in art, you have to always go out of your comfort zone. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to put I'm using my gouache with my palette that you guys have seen me use before. My airtight palette that I just cleaned up yesterday. By the way, the best thing to clean these up is baby wipes or antibacterial wipes. But anyway, let's go in and make some little tiny floral print on these chairs. What would we want on these chairs if they were ours? I think all kinds of little tiny florals, leaves. Little bitty. I'm going to put some, let's see here, I need a tiny brush for this. I'm going to do a really pale green with some white. Imagining that this is, one of those gorgeous fabrics with floral print on it. Kind of a loose interpretation. I'm gonna keep myself from getting too crazy detailed on this. Although that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? It's been raining here in Virginia for like 3 days. I think I want to do some pale. I'm just trying to give the suggestion that this chair has a floral pattern. I can only stay a moment, but so happy to see you even for a short time. Aw, thank you. Yeah, I'm just doing I don't know what this room would be, but doesn't it look like a great place to just sit? I'm gonna put some things on the table. What is the difference between gouache and acrylic? Well, okay, so gouache revives with water. That's the biggest difference. So this can dry, and all I have to do tomorrow is add a little bit of water, and I can get it back. I love that. So you can clean it up with water. If I get it on my clothes, it's no big deal. If I get it on my leather chair at night when I paint in front of the TV, when my husband and I have our time there, and I sometimes do get paint on the chair, it's no big deal because it's gouache. So, but beyond that, there's just a consistency. It's chalky, whereas acrylic is kind of plasticky. And I do use both. But, okay, I'm losing my crease in this chair, so I'm going to try something here. I do try other types of paint. I do use other types of paint, but I just always go back to my gouache. And, you know, I'm sure some people feel that way about other mediums. Okay, so let's let that chair dry a little bit and go over and do this one. I think I should put some glasses of wine on the table, don't you? And maybe some, oh, you know what? I gotta put a bouquet of flowers on that table. Oh my gosh, a little tiny, full, I'll be painting this forever if I do that. I have to though, don't I? Of course I do. See, just talking to you gave me that idea, even though you can't talk back. Are they both opaque? Yes. Acrylic's probably more opaque than gouache, but you can see here when I'm putting this gouache, this is all gouache, and I'm putting colors on top of dark. And, you know, if you know watercolor, you can't do that. It wouldn't show. So, but acrylic is probably even more opaque. Flowers and wine, right? Pick Lizanne. Okay, I know that's not your name, but yes. Flowers and wine. Do we need anything more than that in life? Okay, I don't have a drinking problem. Although, with all this quarantine stuff, I know everybody talks about how, I don't know, every study, every survey, everybody's drinking more. Kind of funny. The one thing they don't close here in Virginia is the liquor stores. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit more green leaves to this. We are going to go to Florida next week. I'm actually getting on an airplane on Tuesday. I'm over it. I'll be careful, of course, but I am got to get out of Virginia. For some reason, we closed down more than we needed to, so I'm going to Florida. Let's see, if I use both these paints, gouache and acrylic, does my painting become a mixed media painting? Well, I kind of think so. I mean, I think if you use more than two media, couldn't we? I mean, I know there's probably an official definition of mixed media, but it works for me, okay? When I call something mixed media, I usually am using 2 or 3 or 4 things, but yeah, why not? It can be mixed media. Putting some florals on this thing. Let me show you the reference photo. This is an Anthropology cover that I picked up a long time ago. I love that catalog, and I'm just doing my own interpretation of it to challenge myself to do something different than I normally do, and kind of make a version of it that I like. So now I am just making the fabric look like a floral fabric. Trying not to fuss over it too much. I have been, I'm going to do another live on the watercolor oils I've been using. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with those. There's a lot of info on the web. Clarification. Oh, sure. Yeah, ask away. You're right. There is a lot of information on the internet, and, you know, I don't know, maybe half of it's not worth much, right? But I can only speak from my experience. And to me, mixed media is just that, a piece where you're using lots of different media, or at least more, maybe more than 2. If it was only 2, I'd probably say this is gouache and ink. I've done that before because I use ink a lot. But if I'm going further than that, ink and acrylic and oil and pastels and blah, 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 then I would call it mixed media. Okay, now I'm gonna let those dry a little bit and try not to put my hands on them, and we'll go up here and work on this plant. This looks like a fun place to hang out, doesn't it? Let's make this kind of a I don't know, maybe an orchid-y thing, or just a flowy and maybe cascadey thing. We can have some things cascading down here. I want to change the color of my paint. And that might be the orchid stem. Put some dirt down here. So with gouache, you know, as I said, I'm putting the green over navy, and you can see that it's a little bit, you can still see the navy a little bit in the back. It's not completely opaque, but if I do another coat in a while, it'll be fine. All right, let's let that dry a little bit. And I don't know, I gotta be brave and do that bouquet right on that table. But I think I'm gonna do something easy right now and lighten up this floor over here. The key, I think, to doing that bouquet successfully, if I do one right here, is gonna be just to make it really loose and not try to, you know, do like, do one of my full floral bouquets there. That would be a bit ambitious. This is just where the light is coming in and hitting this floor, so I wanted to lighten it a little bit. I've got this taped off here too. I think I'm going to draw in this bouquet a little bit so that I don't. This is a, I use these, well, this one is a Caran d'Ache. These are these Swiss soft color pencils, and it'll just allow me to, I'm trying to think what shape face I want. Maybe something kind of large. I guess I need another color that's not showing up. Let's try this color. That's more than a vase, isn't it? It got big. It's more like a pot of flowers. That's okay. We'll have a pot of flowers. What color do I want to make the pot? I think it should be something different than what I have here. Or a really soft, you know, I often paint over things, so I'm going to start with something that's like a really pale teal, and then we can always paint over it. And I think when I do, I'll have these flowers, and then I'll do a couple glasses of wine, maybe a bottle of wine. See, you can see the gouache, so I'm painting the gouache over the gouache. If I fussed, someone asked me a question about this the other day, if I fuss too much with this, I'm going to lift up the purple on the table into my paint, so I'm not going to do any more. I can always go back with a second coat. So that's kind of the trick with gouache, with not getting it to mix too much into your, you know, what's underneath. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll do some flowers and have a little pot of flowers on the table. I'm feeling like over here I need maybe a different shade of leaf in there. Just a little bit of something for some contrast, maybe something dark in the middle. Some cascades. I love cascades. I want my, oh, do I have it here? I'm working on a fourth Skillshare class, guys, on a cascading bouquet. I'm working on it. It's going to take me a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited about that because I love cascading things. Oh yeah, that's pretty. I needed some bigger, just bigger things happening. Especially because it's an orchid. So I'm gonna put my little orchid flowers. Oh, you know what I might use for the orchid flowers? Look, I'm gonna use my Posca. So now, could we technically call this mixed media? How about that? So much easier and just gives that pop of color and sits on top of the gouache. That was a good idea. Okay, my pot is not dry. That didn't sound right, did it? What else do I want to do? I'm doing this. I guess I could do, I don't think I want to do this. It would be really pretty, but I don't know. I don't know how I would interpret it and if it would work out. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that. I guess I could do one of the wine glasses. Let's see. I think I'm going to make those kind of a silvery. I have this beautiful silver, I think it's a Holbein silver gouache. These could be water glasses too. They don't have to be wine. And I don't want anything too... I'm fighting with myself because I don't want to make everything too literal. I kind of want the suggestion of things. I think that'll work. Yeah. So this will start to dry and I'll make my flowers coming out of this. I'm going to need a little brush and I'm going to start with, basically I'm going to do the mini process of when I create a bouquet. I'm going to start with some foliage. Gonna have to adjust some colors so that it shows up. This is a becoming a very gardeny room, isn't it? And of course I have to make something cascade. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring. Oh my gosh, he crawls under the table here. He's so sweet, he's old. So I'm gonna put a little bit more foliage, I'm gonna let the foliage dry, and then I'll go in and do florals, and then I'll probably adjust. Oh, don't you just love that? Things that go squiggly. Sometimes that ends up being my favorite part of something. It's just something unexpected. I'm just taking these leaves from my imagination. You know, if you spend enough time looking at flowers and foliage, I don't know, it gets stored away somewhere, right? I'm gonna make a really dark green with my navy. I love my navy. And maybe go over here. I'm thinking about contrast in size and also in hue, value. You know, I kind of like this without flowers in it. You know, it looks more like another plant. What do you think? Fancy. Should I add flowers? I think maybe a couple, but I think they should be, I'm thinking of a really pale pink, like this one, you know, these are the colors that I make in my palette. By the way, this palette is a dream. It's kind of all I use now. And I have a link to it on my website. It's, they keep selling out of them, and so then I go and get the new link on Amazon, but it's an airtight palette, and it has a silicone cover. I'll show you. We'll talk about the palette while that dries. It has this silicone cover, and then you know, you lock all these little things so that it stays nice and wet. So what I used to do is put them in little tiny containers, and that was nice too, but I just like having all my favorite colors that I mix ready to go so I can paint without a lot of prep time. And yeah, I also have a link to, these are my favorite brushes for this kind of work, the Princeton Velvet Touch. And I have a link to my Skillshare classes where I teach bouquet. I teach 3 different classes actually, two different types of bouquet and an abstract painting. I will show you those. This is the one that I teach in my Stunning Bouquet class. Let me take it out of here. It is gouache, and you get this amazing color with this. Can you hear that? I just love the feel of gouache. I know that's weird. And then my abstract garden class, we do this one. And this is a great class if you feel like I get sometimes where you feel tight and just rigid and you really need to learn to loosen up and play. And then I have another one called the Joyful Bouquet class that I have somewhere else. But anyway, those are all on Skillshare, and there's a link for 2 free months on Skillshare on my website, SuzanneAllard.com, where there's also resources, my favorite books, supplies, oh, and a free download when you sign up for my email list. Gosh, that's taking a long time to dry that dark, see, that dark, the dark green on that pot is taking a long time to dry. So I think what I'm going to do is let that dry completely before I do anything. So I think I might have to say goodbye. Tell you beautiful people, I hope you do something creative today. And check out my classes. They're good at getting you started. It was lovely to paint with you. Bye. I'm just putting some finishing details on this. I wanted to put some little flowers in this bouquet. I started with the foliage, and I don't want to have too many flowers, but I do want some, so I thought I'd show you me finishing this. I'm waiting for the lamp to dry, and I don't know if I'm going to do anything else to that. My reference photo is here, and I changed the lamp, you know, because I wanted to, right? And I don't think I'll do all that. I'm going to do another coat on this vase, and I might do something else on the table. I don't know yet. But yeah, I just thought of something. I might put some color out here because this is outside the window. And, you know, maybe those plants out there have some blossoms on them. Why not turn it into a full-on garden room? I do like my bouquets to be, you know, cascading and not perfectly symmetrical. So that's what I'm thinking about with this one. And I'm also thinking about putting in some of my favorite teal, just here and there. I just feel like it gives such a pop to everything. I guess the only thing missing in this are people on the chairs, but you know, I'm intimidated by doing people. Something I gotta add to my comfort list, comfort zone list. This piece is actually out of my comfort zone. You know that I do florals a lot and I do abstract, but not this kind of thing normally. So I'm already out of my comfort zone. Besides, I want to think of the room as inviting us to come in. And if there are people already there, you know, that wouldn't work, right? So now I'm just going in here and doing a second coat on this. Doesn't have to be the whole thing because pots and things are darker right underneath the flower anyway. And I don't want to fuss too much because I'll pull up this purple that's underneath. This is all gouache, kind of my favorite medium. I think I just want a hint of darker pink in those, some of those. And let's see if this is dry. Not quite yet. I'll go through and put another coat of the white on that. I don't think I was thinking about putting something else on that table, but I really like how that bouquet looks. So I think I'm not going to do that. Kind of trying to create the suggestion of a seat here a little bit. It turned out really well on that one, not so much in this one. I'm gonna touch that up. This is how I made the rug, the shag rug texture. Lots and lots of these little, just a flat brush. And about 200 little marks. Okay, I think that this lamp is dry enough for me to get another coat on there. I kind of like how the brush strokes is giving it sort of a linen-y, you know, fabric look, which is why I think I'm not gonna add any sort of pattern. See, you can see what happens with the gouache if I'm working it too much. That blue from the curtains underneath is going to come up. So that's where I stop and let it dry, and I'll finish it up. The other thing I wanted to do is add, you know how when curtains are folding, there's light parts and dark parts, and I had some light parts, but they got kind of too blended, so I'm going to add some of those back in. Probably should have done that before I did the bouquet. It's okay. Light and dark folds come and go, so they don't have to run all the way down. They're usually a factor of how the light's hitting the curtain anyway. I have this tape down here and taped here because I have this pad, this watercolor paper of 12 by 18, and that's just a strange size. So I tape off an inch at the top, inch at the bottom, and now it's 12 by 16. I see something else that I think I want to do, and that is see if I can get my Posca pen to work. Sometimes it doesn't, my metallic gold Posca pen doesn't work really well on the on top of watercolor paper, but I'd like to kind of create some, yeah, it's not going to. I have to use a different one. A metallic edge around this painting. Metallic pens are just a bit of a struggle. They dry up, they stop working. Yeah, I kind of like that. And you can tell it's not perfectly straight. I don't mind that. This is kind of a, see, now my pen's acting up already. It's kind of a loose painting. They don't like the watercolor paper. Oh, that one's really misbehaving. That's why I got several of these on hand, because you never know which ones are going to be behaving. I'll let that dry some more before I see if I can touch up this wine glass with my silver. I like that painterly look, you know, meaning it doesn't look perfect, but I just wanted to help it shape a little bit there. Okay, we'll let that dry.